to share with you about the God of you. That's the title of my talk, The God of You. And we explored it a little bit in the meditation that we did this morning, so I want to thank and honor you all that were here for the meditation. But I want you to just take a moment to feel what that feels like, the God of you. Just what that might be. If there is a God of you, it should be something you can feel. And for me, starting with yoga, that being my really first spiritual experience, it always starts with the breath. And I've been practicing pranayama, is what they call it in yoga, just the awareness of breath, for many, many years. And I have to say that each time I sit to do my meditation, the miracle of the breath just continues to astound me. It's unexplainable, and yet it's an experience we have in each moment. So for me, that's where I start when I think of the God of me. It is that spirit that moves through me and allows me to express in this individual manner. So it has to do with the energy that flows through us and the individuality, this unique expression of who we are. It's interesting because we do all breathe the same breath, don't we? We all breathe in this invisible substance, so it connects us all. But look around the room, and each person is different. Each person, just the face, expresses something unique. So the God of me is breath, is spirit, is energy, is life force, but it's also unique, individual, and expressive. So what inspired me to talk about the God of you is my trip to Brazil, which a number of you have been wanting to hear about, to visit John of God. And just the name, John of God, made me think of the God of you. There's the God of John, and there's the God of Valerie, and there's the God of Winona. And the energy that's down there in Brazil, interesting, is similar to the energy in this space. It's similar to the energy that I experience at Unity of San Francisco, or when I walk right up the street, and sometimes I'm inspired to stop at St. Anthony's, this great big Catholic church. You walk in there, and there's an energy. And so the first day I made it down to Brazil, we left on Sunday, and the way that travel is, we didn't get there till Monday morning. And yet, I wasn't tired, I didn't want to take a nap. As soon as I put all my stuff in my room, I grabbed my guide and I said, I want to go to the Costa, which was a short 5-minute walk down the center of town. Of course, this whole town really revolves around this clinic down there, and this healing that this man has been doing for 40 years now. And I don't know, how many have heard of John of God, have seen some of the videos or seen his interview on Oprah, or she's interviewed him a couple of times. Well, he's this man who that grew up in Brazil, was born very, very poor. I think he still does not know how to read and write. He worked in the mines, actually the crystal mines, the quartz crystal mines that are down there. From a very young age, he was down in the mines, and he began channeling this God force energy. He would feel these energies moving through him, and he began doing miraculous healings for people around him. And he was guided in his life to find this spot in Avajania, I think is the way they pronounce it, in Brazil. And he built his clinic there. And the clinic is built on this huge natural quartz crystal formation. And he believes that partly that the Christ energy, and this is what he says, I do not heal, God heals through me. And he's very clear that the healing energies that he uses is present and available for everyone, and that we simply need to be willing to ask. And that was what was so impressive about the clinic. Again and again and again when you're down there, they say, if you're coming here expecting God to fix you and have a miracle happen, you may be disappointed. Miraculous things do happen here, but you have to do your part. We can do 30%. but you have to do 70%. And the 70% was so simple. You think you're going to get some magic formula when you're down there. The 70% is you need to take care of yourself. You need to sleep when you're tired. You need to eat when you're hungry. You need to communicate something if you've got something going on with those people you love and you care about. And you need to listen to them and be able to take in and hear what others have to say. And then you have to choose each day and be willing to open the spirit, to ask for guidance, to ask for what you need with a sense of gratitude, love, and faith. And then you have to thank Spirit. Regardless of what happens, whether your immediate ask or prayer is answered or not, you need to say thank you with a sense of trust and knowing that if what you ask for doesn't come, it's not for you, and something better is on the way. Or it may be coming, but it's in divine timing, and your job is to continue to be in that place of gratitude and thankfulness. And the other thing that impressed me so much, because we were down there during Holy Week. You know, the final day. The Casa is open Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Well, the Casa is open all the time. You can go there, pray, and meditate, sit in the gardens, being in the energy. But John of God is there giving his service or his healing work 3 days a week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So on Good Friday was part of the Casa days, and that week it was flooded with people from all over Brazil. People come in buses. In Brazil, this idea of channeling or healing work, because he literally channels these entities, as he calls them, the main one being Saint Ignatius. And that is very much a part of their culture, this divine healing and this connection with God. And he's the most famous healer in Brazil. There have actually been medical doctors who have gone down from the United States. They're really skeptical people who have gone down to see what he's doing. And he literally performs surgery on people. He does a lot of what he calls spiritual surgeries, which means he's not touching you. You can feel the energy working through you. And I had a couple of those, and I have to say they were quite powerful. But he also does physical surgeries. He'll take a scalpel, and one of the people who was in our group, a good friend of my brother's, jumped up on stage and came out and said, if anyone believes in God and wants to have a surgery right now, come up. And my brother's friend Mark came up, and he took a scalpel, lifted up his shirt, and cut a tube, almost a 3-inch incision right into his chest. No anesthetic. Mark didn't flinch. He had his eyes closed. Very little blood. And apparently this happens all the time. The doctors that come down to try to check out what he does say that that's, to them, what is the most miraculous thing. Is that there's no blood, he uses no sutures or nothing to stop the bleeding, and that there's no anesthetic. And it looked like they were, looked like swabbed him with something, so it's not unsanitary, but the doctors are also amazed that no one ever gets any infection. The wounds heal up usually very quickly. And so that was quite amazing to sit there and watch this happen with Mark. The other thing that was interesting that in one of the videos that I watched of Oprah, she interviewed a number of people and a number of these doctors. One of the doctors who went down to observe while he was there watching these surgeries, he had a spontaneous surgery himself. He was not touched by John of God, and yet as he was watching the surgery, he felt this pain in his chest, looked down, and there was this red mark on his shirt where he suddenly was starting to bleed. He bled very gently and not gushing, but bleeding would not stop for 24 hours straight. Blood just kept trickling. No matter what he put on it, it would continue to bleed. And then after almost exactly 24 hours, the bleeding stopped and the wound healed very quickly within 24 hours. So a lot of amazing things are going on down there. But more than the miracles that I witnessed, what was so really, I don't really have a word for it, it washed through me in a way that really allowed me to feel more present in life and more part of this human family, was the love and patience and just caring that came from everyone who worked at the casa, from the interpreters to the different, I don't know if you call them nurses or helpers, but the ones that assisted in the healings, and just the people that would direct you, the people that help wash, help make the soup that they make every day that the casa is open, not just for the people who come for healing, but for anyone in the community who lives around. They have a huge soup kitchen where they feed large amounts of people all around that area. But, you know, the casa is inundated with people who are sick, many of them are desperate. They come there because it is their last chance for hope. They desperately want healing. And especially Holy Week, there are a lot of people there, and everyone wants a chance. And he stays there until he's able to personally see and connect with each person. And they've got it set up so it's really loving and wonderful. As you're waiting to go in, they're continuing to pray with you in a number of different languages. You know, and I'm just sitting there. I mean, I had a chair, a lot of these people didn't. And I'm getting kind of impatient and frustrated because first they're, you know, praying for us in Portuguese, and then they're for a long time praying in German, and I'm trying to meditate and stay calm. And when they were praying in German, I kept with my eyes closed. I kept visualizing Hitler getting one of his speeches. I had to keep, you know, being calm. But what impressed me is the people who work there continually so patient. My brothers and sisters, please move back and allow the older people and the people in wheelchairs to come to the front of the line. And when they said it for the third time, I wanted to get up and say, come on, just move. And they were so gentle and so loving continuously, day after day. Just this, and you didn't get any sense that they were trying to be that way. They just were in that place of patience and love and calm and acceptance. So it finally came time for me, after we'd sat there in the morning for probably 3 hours waiting for our line to be called. And you come up with your 3 wishes. Each time you go in front of the entity, you can have 3 wishes, 3 things you're hoping for, either physical, mental, or spiritual healing, whatever you want to bring into your life. And they encourage you to spend some time, get clear about what you want, meditate on it, and then, when it's your time, you go and you present it to the entity, as they call it, because John of God calls in these different entities, and it's maybe a different one whenever you go through. And you open up into the inner room where people who've already been in front of John of God, one of the things that he will prescribe, sometimes it's herbs, sometimes it's a psychic surgery, sometimes he'll have you go to the spiritual waterfall, which is this beautiful place where you just go and you stand under the water and allow it to wash through you, and as you do, you say your prayers and release what you need. But another thing he'll tell you to do is to sit in his current, is what he calls it. And what I kept thinking is like an electrical current, because that's what it feels like. But you open from the outer, I'll call it an outer chapel. You go into the inner room where on one side there's all these pews, just like here, where people are sitting and meditating, because they're, what has been prescribed to them is go sit in my outer current. And you sit, and they tell you to close your eyes, do not cross your legs, because that blocks the energy, and meditate on what you want and on gratitude for the spirit that's moving through. And then you go through that line and you turn the corner, and there's another, like an L-shaped room, another long corridor with pews on either side, and that's also part of the current. Same thing, with everyone sitting there meditating with their eyes closed. So as I moved into this room, the minute I moved through, I felt this wave of emotion. I mean, I basically started sobbing and could not stop. I was kind of embarrassed, but everyone had their eyes closed, so it didn't matter. But it was just very, very moving. And they tell you as soon as you go through the door, they'll say, now, hand your 3 wishes to the interpreter. And you've already spoken to the interpreter, who's been very sweet and helped you get clear of exactly what you want to say, making sure it's right. You say, hand your 3 wishes to the interpreter, and then take the entity's hand and look into his eyes, because he is transferring divine energy. And so I moved to the front of the line, and I'm still, tears are still streaming down my eyes, and I looked, and it was similar to when the door opened. There was just this just this sense of just being lifted. I found myself, without even thinking about it, going onto my knees and just looking at him. And they say, make sure you hear what the interpreter says back to you after you give the information, because you're going to be in another space, and if you're not clear, ask again. Of course, we had our guides that were going with us, and our guides told us, don't worry, we will tell you what the entity says, so just keep moving through. So I got outside, and they said, oh, you're going to have an operation. So later that afternoon, we came back, we waited for the operation line to be called. Same thing happened. We went all the way through, but this time you didn't stop and take his hand. They told you to look, and you would look at each person, but then they'd move us into another room, and they told you to close your eyes and place either your hand over your heart or your hand over what area you wanted to be healed, if you needed a physical healing. And so I sat and closed my eyes, placed my hand over my heart, and I felt a little bit of a shift. But what was most powerful was when I got back to my room, when they tell you afterwards, if you have and nobody touched him. He was in the room. Of course, I didn't realize that until later. I thought he was doing it all from his chair, but I found out later, no, he comes in the room, and some people he actually does place his hands on, but he literally takes time to focus on each person, and apparently he's scanning you and seeing exactly what you need, and they say you're being healed on many, many different levels, and I definitely felt that. Well, I go back to my room, and they tell you have to lie down immediately, and they encourage you to put like a little mask over your face so you're blocking out the sunlight, and they say you need to sleep for 24 hours. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to, because before we took a long time to get down there, but I had a good night's sleep before I went to the Casa that day. So I said, okay, I'll lie down, but I don't think I'm going to sleep. I very quickly began to feel very woozy. My bed started shaking, which was very strange. And my first thought was, oh good, it's the entities. They're working on me. Because one of the things that came up very strongly, I think of myself as having a very strong spiritual life and grounding and belief. So much doubt and skepticism came up when I was down there. Even though I kept hearing all these stories about these miracles that were happening, it was this skepticism that was based on, this might work for other people, but it's not going to work for me. It's that old story about, yeah, this will work for them, but not me. So I lay on the bed and started shaking, and oh, those are the entities. And then the next thought that came in was, oh no, it's probably just an earthquake. Which, when I thought about it later, it's just an earthquake. So, and truth is, I was out until they knocked on my door and brought me the dinner. That's what they do. They say, someone will bring you your food. They have it. It's all the care and love that the whole place is set up with was really just so healing and so impressive. And so they knocked on my door, and here's my meal. I woke up to eat my meal, was famished, just, chomped down my meal, and then lay down and went into a deep sleep again. Did not wake up until the next morning when they came to knock on. No, I guess I did. I got up to go to the bathroom a couple times, but they tell you to drink lots of blessed water. They have water down there that comes from the same place where the waterfall is. So it's this apparently this blessed water. And so I got up a couple of times to go to the bathroom and felt as though I had this flu. I felt my whole body was aching. I had a pounding headache on this side of my head and thought, oh my God, I caught the flu. But then we'll go back to bed. They brought my breakfast in the morning. Still felt headachy and fluey and kind of feverish, but I chomped down my breakfast, went right back to sleep. They came with my lunch and ate that. Was feeling much better. It's like, oh, the flu's gone. But they still said to lie back down and go back to sleep. I went into a very, what I call a light and peaceful sleep. And then woke up I got back to the Casa about 4 that afternoon. They say you need to be there for 24 hours. So I woke up about 3, felt really refreshed, took a shower, and then came out of my room. And I have to say, when I came out, I felt this sense like something had been released. Something had been released. I'd actually asked, one of the things I'd asked for was to heal my eyes, So because I heard stories, one of the other doctors who went down to, who was one of the skeptics, he went down and actually was asking for healing for chronic pain that he had had. And he said the pain, although it was lessened, it had not gone away completely, but something that he hadn't asked for, which was healing of his eyes. He said when he got back, his wife, he was sitting there reading something, his wife said, "Honey, you're not wearing your glasses." And he went, "Oh," and she said, "But you just read." His eyesight had been healed. He was able to at least, let go of his glasses after his visit. So that's what I asked for, to heal my eyes and heal my color blindness, because I've been colorblind all my life. And as you can see, I'm still wearing my glasses. They did not get healed completely. And yet, colors have been looking more vibrant. I haven't actually looked at those tests you can take. We have to see the numbers. But I also realized in meditating on it, because that week after your surgery, they make it clear, for 8 days, it's very strict. You can't do certain things. You're not allowed to go out in the sun. I was not allowed to read or go on a computer or really do anything, strenuous with my eyes. But they also say to continue to meditate on what you've asked for and ask for, open to if something connected with what you've asked for may come through, because they say you won't, like Mick Jagger said to us when we were Rolling Stones, you don't always get what you want, but you always get what you need. So what I noticed in meditating on, having clearer vision, is that during that week, partly what I said about that washing over me, beginning to feel connected with life in a whole new way, I felt like I was seeing life and what it's really about, and my place in it much more clearly. And to me, that's much more powerful than being able to let go of my glasses. So the experience was really amazing. There's a lot of other things that happened that I'll continue to share as they relate to what I'm talking about up here. But I think the other thing that I want to share, speaking of the God of you, this is about the God of me when I was down there, is what happened the very first night that I got down there. This is before I got into the Casa, before I'd seen John of God. I lay in bed to go to sleep that night. And I did my meditation, as I always do before I go to sleep. Just 15 minutes of getting focused in my breathing, feeling present. I lay down to go to sleep and almost immediately went into this place that I can only describe as unconditional love. I felt this almost like a physical sensation of being held or caressed by this loving energy. I totally had this sensation that I was home. It was such a clear, that word came into my mind, home, and being totally supported and where I was supposed to be. And as soon as I started to become sort of a little bit more conscious, not that I was unconscious, I was very conscious, but sort of aware of the outside world, I started thinking, where am I? This is home, and I wanted to sort of place it in some sort of physical context. And nothing would come. Nothing would come except that this is home and nothing else mattered. I kept thinking, well, where am I? Where am I? And in my mind, I went through and I had a dream like this a number of days before, where I was basically going through every house that I lived in all my life, all the way back to the house I was born in. And in the dream, I was looking for home, and nothing felt right. Even though I went through every single place that I lived, and it probably was about 15 since when I was, when I was first born. And this was almost the reverse. I was home, and yet in that place of feeling, I was going back, trying to remember, but where am I right now? And all those different places I lived or I'd been came into my mind, saying, well, that's not where I am. And then finally, it was chronological too, it was moving forward. Finally, as I remembered, oh yeah, I'm lying in this little hotel in Brazil, and I come down to see John of God. And then it's kind of like the spell was broken, and I woke up and opened my eyes, and the feeling was gone. And yet this sort of resonance of it remained, like almost like a taste in my mouth, and I could feel it. And that, even with all the miracles that happened while I was down there, that to me was the most powerful and healing moment of the whole thing. Because even as I sit here and talk to you and share with you, I can still feel that sense and that place of being home and totally connected. So, I didn't even look at my notes. I'm not going to, because they will work for another talk, because I think what I shared is really wonderful. But what I do want to share, since I've been back from John of God, it has been a roller coaster. I have those moments of real connection and excitement and really bliss of just this new energy that's flowing through me. And then I have this old stuff coming up. And they're very clear when you go there, especially if you've had any type of these psychic surgeries. They give you herbs to take. So I'm taking those 3 times a day, and they make it very clear that as you take these herbs, just like everything down here, 70% of it is you. The herb is the 30%. But as you take it, you need to honor that you are taking divine energy. You are taking your faith and your trust that there is a power, just like our unity, there's a power and presence of good in the universe that as you call on it, it gives you exactly what you need. So you really have to take it as a sacrament. So, and I think that's one of the reasons they do it, because they're very clear that it's just herbs. The entities have blessed it and endowed it with what you need for healing, but it will not interfere with any other medication. They do say you can't eat hot peppers or fertile eggs while you're taking it, and no sex, which has been a challenge for me, but doing okay. But so I'm taking these herbs every day. Totally lost my train of thought. I will get there. Oh, it's been up and down, but they're very clear that things are going to be released, that you will feel sometimes physically tired, almost like, you may have flu-like symptoms, or you may just feel like, oh my God, I'm exhausted, I just need to sleep. And that's been happening. I've been getting surges of energy where I just have so much energy and so much excitement for life. And I have other days when I wake up, feel good, have breakfast, and it's like, oh my God, I've got to go back to bed. Some days I'm able to, some days I'm not, and I just, they say if you're aware, just, move slowly. But real, palpable changes, this difference in the way the energy is flowing, and this willingness to trust my own rhythms. And for me, that's part of the God of me. It's listening to that inner voice and honoring it with a sense of trust, not going into, well, I can't stop and take a nap because I've got to do all these things, and I've got bills to pay, and I've got, all this stuff, my old story. I've been detaching from it, and in doing so, seeing some miraculous ways that Spirit steps in and says, oh, okay, here, you're taking care of yourself, so we are going to take care of you as well. So that's really what I want to end with today, is what's been happening in my meditations, a deeper feeling of connection. I'll go into a very deep place. Sometimes I come out of the meditation and I just kind of have no idea where I've been, but I can feel that it is very deep and that it was very healing. Other times, I feel what I'm going to call divine downloads, which is just real clear guidance as to what's next, where my life is going. It's never, which is what it used to be. I'd sit in my meditations and think of all the things I had to do and start feeling overwhelmed because there were so many things that there was to do. It's really clear, simple steps, but even more than steps, it's just a sense that everything is working in synchronicity with me as long as I open and trust and listen. And the simple steps, what's next, is always there. And when I can just trust that, it really just feels like such a relief. It's this sense that there's this energy there working with me, and I just have to trust it. So yesterday morning, the day before, I sat down to do my meditation, and my first instinct was to connect with my mom and my dad, who are both passed on. And part of what happened down there, I really had a wonderful chance, and I shared with some of you a couple of weeks ago, about the connection that I had with my brother. And that we went down together, and there was real healing that went on. And part of that healing was we were instructed by our guides who were down there to do an ancestral healing, to ask John of God to call in and help heal the ancestors with me. I talked about some of the stuff that I had been through in my childhood, some, fairly strong abuse, which I think I shared with you very early when I came out here. And they said, this sounds like ancestral stuff, because if this happened with you, it's probably something that will be passed down in generations, and powerful healing energy can be opened when you really bring your ancestors in front of John and God and ask for healing. Now, my brother had actually gone online the night before he did the ancestral stuff and did some research into our ancestors. And interestingly enough, and we knew this from our grandparents, one of our grandparents, that Aaron Burr is our great something grandfather. And I don't know if you know who Aaron Burr is. He was a traitor, and he actually ran for president and apparently won. But because of stuff that went on, he was, and so he shot Alexander Hamilton, and that kind of disgraced him. And so a lot of drama around this guy. So, and he's apparently our grandfather. We knew that he was somehow related, but my brother did this information, so he's a great something grandfather. And the interesting thing is, he was born on my birthday, or I was born on his birthday, 199 years earlier than me. And so when my brother gave me that information, being down there in such energy, I just felt this sort of energy behind this healing that he was going to do, that it had to do with stuff that, probably we will never know consciously, but this connection. And when I took a workshop in the fall with Sue Fredericks, who's someone that I'm hoping to get to be able to come here and speak and give a workshop here, it was actually a training called Grief Intuitive Training, and it's really about techniques that allow you to tune into those who have passed on, to really move through the veil and connect with their energy. And this is something that they talk about at John of God, too, that our ancestors are always just beyond the veil, and they're always supporting us. They're always there giving us guidance and help. And so as I sat down to do my meditation, I decided I wanted to connect with my mom and my dad and try to open to that healing. I had a very strong connection with my mom a number of months ago, right after I did the training, where she came through and gave me really strong guidance, and I felt her presence quite strongly for the next few weeks. And really, if I sit and breathe and call on her, I can feel her, which is wonderful. So I sat down and I wanted to do both my mom and my dad, really figuring out how to connect with my mom. The interesting thing is, it was my dad that came through and really wanted to communicate. And because of the childhood abuse and that energy still being somewhat present, I immediately started to feel this resistance and kind of started to pull myself out of the meditation. But then I heard this voice that said no, which I think was really my higher self. Feel the energy. And what I felt come from my father's energy was such love and nurturing acceptance that I breathed into it. The technique is you call their full name out 3 times, welcome them, and then grab your journal and prepare to just write down whatever guidance you get. So I'd like to end by sharing with you the guidance I received from my dad. Receive my love now as I feel and receive yours. It has been quite a while in earth time that we have communicated. Through writing, in fact, yes. That is how we ended our communication on the earth plane. And I'll share with you, the last communication we had was when I was in therapy. I was in deep therapy where we did some hypnosis work to really get in touch with what had happened. And as I had these memories that came up of the childhood abuse, I confronted him in a letter. And he wrote me back. Basically, at that point, I really just saw it all as excuses and denials. And so I wrote back saying, if you're not willing to acknowledge and apologize for what happened, I really don't want you as part of my life. So that was really the last communication we had. And he died 5 years later. So that's what he's alluding to here. Through writing, in fact, yes, that is how we ended our communication on the earth plane. Though I felt you in my heart every day. You were my greatest teacher. I hope you know that. You and your brother and your sister. I am joined now by the ancestors. We are joined now by the ancestors. Some are here in personality essence. Most, though, are present in energy, rhymes, and melodies. That is the best way I can describe it. We move through you like a song, touching all parts, physical, mental, emotional, with a capital E, for your emotional center is our connection point. The earth plane is our commonality. It is what links us and holds us together in a creative, energetic pattern. And when he talked about the earth plane being our connection point, and that we were connected, it was almost like he was showing me these things, and I felt this sense of my belly button, felt my umbilical cord connected to my mom, and felt that cord connecting with all the ancestors. And I began seeing them as this pyramid. Like I'm here, then there's my mom and my dad, then there's the 4 grandparents, and on and on. And really like I was sitting on it, like they were beneath me. The earth plane is our commonality. It is what links us and holds us together in a creative, energetic pattern. All of us who have moved through the earth experience move through you. Just relax and write. Don't think. Well, at that point, I was starting to doubt the energy that was coming through, and I felt it floating away. And he just, this loving, almost like he embraced me. Stop worrying. Just write. And so I let go and just began writing what was coming. We continue to have a stake in Mother Earth. He's talking about the ancestors. And the human family. We feel you. We love you because you are a great and powerful source of focus and energy. When the human family can let go of judgment and awaken to the truth of who and what you are, which is happening, you will know yourselves as we know you. A dynamic source of creative power that is felt in all dimensions. For nothing is separate, all is connected. Feel that connection as you feel me right now. You so desperately want to teach, to share, to show the world and all your fellows the magnificence of life, that you forget each day to simply experience it for yourself. But you are learning, you are remembering, you are awakening, all in divine order. We have placed you in the center of your life. Where else could you possibly need to be? When I say we, I am speaking first of the pyramid of souls of which you are the pinnacle. The pyramid of souls that sit beneath you and support you. The ancestral gestalt. And I had no idea what that word meant, and I kept resisting writing it down because it's like, I don't know what that means. And he just said, write it down. And when I looked it up, it seems very, it fits there. Let's see, the ancestral gestalt, the current of energy, the wave of which you are the crest. Call on us for guidance, and also trust and know that there is an army of angels, helpers, and entities guiding you who have never been physical. Yet the physical dimension and your being within it feeds them, supports them. They feel your love as we do through all your emotions. The source of your emotions is love. I believe you know that. That is what you taught me. Your anger, and he was talking about when I was a teenager and got into therapy, he used to come back and tell us, you kids have to express yourself. You have to express yourself. And I took that literally, and I didn't even have the memories of what had happened when I was younger, but I knew I had a lot of rage towards him, and I used to just give it to him, and he would sort of be taken aback, but then he'd say, oh, good for you, you're expressing yourself. So, I have to bless him for that, and in that moment, I really, sort of got that healing that he had given me even when he was alive. But that's what you taught me. Your anger and your free, open, and fiery expression of it were healing. I am here to help you trust and feel and express all your feelings, as they are all love. Stop judging them. Through the presence process, which I'll share some about that next week because I didn't get to that. But through the presence process and your dream work, you will and are facilitating powerful healing on the planet. Carstener, that was his nickname for me. Carstener, I know you are feeling me right now very powerfully. Trust that. I live in your cells, as does your mother. You and your brother and your sister are the powerful synergy of all that we were, are, and are becoming. We are with you, support you in all that you do, just as all that you do, all that you experience, supports and nurtures us. That's all for now. Do your work, share your vision, trust yourself. Can you feel right now the depth of the love and respect I feel for you? Oh, and the gratitude that we feel for you? Can you feel it? Trust it. It is real. Love, Dad.